Hello, my name is Sirkka
Hey.
Möller and I'm a member of the selection committee of the Panorama section of the Berlin International Film Festival. And I'm very happy today that I am speaking to Cem Kaya, the director of Love, Deutschmarks and Death. Hello, Cem.
Hello.
Cem, I would like to start with you giving a brief introduction or description of your film for those who have not yet had the chance to see it.
Okay, so the film is called Aşk ve Ölüm. That's the Turkish title, and in English it's called Love, Deutschmarks and Death. It's about the it's a documentary essay, and it's about the musical culture of immigrant people from Turkey in Germany. That's the basic plot. In 1961, the first Turkish workers came to Germany, and they were called to build up or to help building up the German economy. And so they came, and they came also with their culture and with their music. And in the last 60 years of migration in Germany, a lot of things happened, and also the musical scenes have changed. And Germany basically became, let's say, a region of Turkey, a musical region. You know, like the Black Sea region, for instance. So we have also the Germany region where Turkish music and also Kurdish music has developed differently. And that's basically what the film is about.
Okay. You have brought some scenes, and maybe we should take a look at the first one. Do you want to give any introduction, or should we just watch it and then talk about it?
Oh, let's watch it and then
Okay, good. Then let's watch the first scene, please.
Türkische Musik, egal ob Folklore, Klassik oder Pop, ist in den Rundfunkanstalten auf den Einsatz im Rahmen der türkischen Sendungen beschränkt, von denen es nicht sehr viele gibt. Hiesige Diskjockeys oder Programmierer beklagen gerne die angeblich geringe Qualität der Produktionen am Popsektor und bei der Klassik die schnelle Ermüdung beim Publikum. Für Mitteleuropäer klinge nach 5 Minuten alles gleich. Dennoch...
Es wäre doch überhaupt kein Problem, in sogenannten bunten Abenden, in Quizshows, in Veranstaltungen jeder Art türkische Ensembles, türkische Solisten auftreten zu lassen, um Deutsche und Türken über den Umweg der Kultur ein bisschen näher zu bringen. Dass die Leute einfach sagen, Mensch, das ist ja auch interessant, die sind uns nicht mehr fremd. Und die Ajda Pekkan, die du den ganzen Tag da nebenan in deiner Wohnung spielst, die habe ich neulich auch im Fernsehen gesehen, die sieht ja toll aus und die kann ja prima singen. Das passiert leider nicht, und da haben die Medien ganz stark versagt. Da ist nichts unternommen worden, all den Jahren irgendwie zu sagen, das ist ein türkischer Nachbar, so lebt er, das mag er, diese Freizeitbeschäftigung hat er.
It's quite amazing because I don't know from what year this scene is, but it's probably more than 30 years old and it still hasn't changed much, has it?
No.
No.
And from 1982, by the way.
Okay, well, yeah. And the interesting thing is, in a way, this one clip is not so very representative of your film because it's one of the few scenes where a German person is explaining something in front of the camera. Was this a conscious choice, or did it just happen so because no German has ever put much thought into Turkish music in Germany?
I don't know. It wasn't. I didn't do it on purpose, let's say, but we have also documentary bits from the German TV stations where we have speakers. Yes, you don't see them.
Off speakers, yes, but kind of somebody sitting in front of the camera.
That's rare.
From what I recall, that's one of the very few scenes of a...
Yeah, that's true. But Martin Graves, he was a legendary DJ and radio programmer in Berlin. Maybe also even considerable to John Peel. So he was a very important figure. And this was from a documentary made by the RBB, which was Senderfreies Berlin back then, about Turkish culture, about Turkish music. So he put a lot of thought into why Turkish music is not represented in German media. And back then it was less than today, because back then there was no internet. I think this is the most important thing, because when migrant people in the 80s or 90s lived in Germany, they didn't have any access to their motherland culture, the home culture. You know, there was just no access, so they had to invent it here by themselves. I think this is the important part here. And Germans or German media, they didn't show much interest in it. I don't know, it was really lack of interest, I'd say. But in Germany, there's also a systematic failure also to recognize racism as a structural or also institutional problem, you know?
Yeah.
And one part of that is also, to push out or ignore, you know, the history of migrant music that was made in Germany, you know, not the music that came from Turkey, but that was made here, you know, and also historically, you know, because German music history, for example, is mainly written by non-Turkish people. And that's what makes Graves' saying so important also. No?
Yeah.
And in general, the history of migrant music culture is almost completely absent from public perception, even today, you know. There is no comprehensive history, for instance, you know, there's little literature, there's little academic research, no reviews in music magazines, you know, no pop cultural considerations in the feature pages, you know, no star cuts in the Bravo, no people, you know, being invited to Wetten Das, all these things, that just doesn't happen. It changes now with hip hop and pop music, with the third, fourth generation. You know, now you have a different mixture in the 2020s, yes. But let's say for the last 45 to 50 years, it was just totally out of context.
And this is what you're trying to show in your film. I feel it's like an alternative history of Germany that, to me, you know, growing up as a white middle-class German, it's like I had no idea, and I feel like it was hidden in plain sight. I should have just looked. And so thank you very much for kind of pointing out to me what has been happening here. I've you know, some of the bands from the film I kind of searched out on YouTube, and there is also now a new movement of reissuing some of this music. So there is a chance to rediscover it, a bit late, but still. What you do in your film as well is you kind of try to show the German, or the history of Germany seen through a different lens than we normally have. And the title of your film is actually the 3 chapters you have in the film. And the changes that happened in the community I found quite interesting, and I also found it interesting the material that you're using, because like in the early years it's mostly German television that have been making films about the migrant workers that arrived, the Gastarbeiter that arrived in Germany and so on. So it's very patronizing and is kind of, oh, look at them. And then there is a change when probably also, and you can tell this better, when people were able to film their own lives, because there was video material, cameras accessible and so on. And your film changes almost, the kind of, the visuals change very much because there is a self-representation there. Now, archive research is never easy, and I imagine archive research with home filmed material is like, how much work was that? Can you tell a little bit about that?
That was a lot of work, but indeed, I mean, my other films are archive films too, you know, so I started, if you think of this as a trilogy, let's say, with Arabesque, remake, remix, ripoff, and this one, you know, all Turkish pop culture topics, then, and all dealing with a lot of archive. So there was, let's say, I had a lot of archive material that I already had reviewed or watched for the other 2 films that I had done. And also within those, the other projects, I was very well connected also with a lot of people, you know, because, yeah, you know, things happen, people meet and so on. So I had a big archive, a private archive that I could look into. And I have my own private archive with videotapes that is, I don't know, more than 1,500 tapes. So I could watch those. I could watch the Turkish movies, and I had already tagged them because everything that was in the Turkish film about Germany was always I was always interested in things like that. So I already had that exported and stuff. The archive material that we got from German TV, so this film was co-produced with the WDR, Westdeutscher Rundfunk, RBB, Radio Berlin-Brandenburg, and Arte. And we had access to their archives.
Okay.
And this is the thing that was the most exciting thing in this entire project, to see what German public television had recorded and not broadcasted. Because the broadcasting back then, let's talk for WDR, for instance, WDR was a regional TV because there was no satellite or cable TV accessible back then. So everything that was shown here at the Westdeutscher Rundfunk was just receivable in Nordrhein-Westfalen, let's say. And they had a program, a show that was called Ihre Heimat, unsere Heimat. Your country, our country, I'd say. And this was a special show for the so-called Gastarbeiters. It was for the Italians, for the Greek, for the Spanish, for the Portuguese, and also for the Turkish. So every 2 weeks, there was a show, 10 to 15 minutes. You had news, you had some tips for your everyday life, and then you had music. And this I knew this show from my childhood. There was a similar show on ZDF called Nachbarn in Europa, or Türkiye Mektubu, what's that called? Letter from Turkey. And these shows were made entirely in Turkish. And this was a black box before we got into the archives, because we knew in our childhood, we had seen them, we had watched them, but now we had the chance to systematically, go into this material and to get things out of that that were of interest for this kind of rewriting German music history from that point of view.
Yeah. Should we take a look at the second clip to also give the viewers a bit of more of an idea of what you found and what you've been working with? And that brings us now into the 1980s. Yes. So here's a little warning for kind of hairdos and everything. And so let's take a look at the second clip.
Bir düğüne gidiyor mesela, adamlar geleneklerimize göre para takıyorlar, o çıkıyor, bu çıkıyor. Hani millette para var. Görebiliyordun yani.
Ortalıkta bir para söz konusu, yani o paralar havada uçardı, dökülürdü yani o zaman. O gurbet insanları öyle bir aşka getirirdi yani. O bahşiş dediğimiz bahşişleri falan çok severek verirlerdi.
€225.000. Ben 150.000 euroyu ben gördüm. Buyur. Arap Güngör'ün burada düğününde belki de 1000 kişi, 850 kişi geldi. 160.000 mark. Euro değil, mark takıldı.
Gelin damada en az 80-90 bin mark takılmış. 1 kilo altın. Uy, gelip bana ne dediler biliyor musun? Gelin eski sevgilisine kaçtı.
Hamalar gördük burada. Ama o büyük şeyler. Ondan sonra limuzinler. Tabii. Ya değişik. Hatta at bile girdi içeriye.
Deve girdim abi.
Evet. Yok.
Deve girmedi.
Girmedi.
Helikopter
piste indi. Gelin. Evet. Oraya dışarıya.
Abi mark
zamanında ben gecede 1000 mark para alıyordum. Ve 1000 markı ben patronumdan alma gereğini bile duymuyordum. Çünkü zaten alacağım paranın altı misli alaturama alıp gidiyordum evime ben.
Güzelim marklar ya. Onun böyle bir havası başkaydı kardeşim. Yani şöyle mark dediğin zaman, Deutsche Mark bir değer ifade ediyordu yani.
Ya bu paralar kıymetli, orijinal ya, bakım hele takım akı. Doğru.
Şaka bak
Kurban
ya.
olayım.
Peçetenin içerisine 300-400 mark sıkıştırılırdı. Kimse görmesin. Sanatçıyı hicap duymasın diye. Ne kadar saygılı bir davranış değil mi? Bu şekilde gelirdi istekler bize.
Abi her tarafından para çıkardı. Her tarafından para çıkardı yani. Donundan bile para çıkardı.
Millet oynadıkça para geliyor. Allah belamı versin süpürgeyle para bahşiş topladım biliyorum.
Ich versuche mich natürlich ein bisschen nach dem Publikum zu orientieren. Es gibt so bestimmte Lieder, wo ich genau weiß, wenn ich das Lied jetzt singe, dann kommt die Flasche Champagner hoch. Ne?
Berlin'de öyle bir tane şampanya, tek bir şişe açılmaz. Kartonlarla gelir. 5 karton, 10 karton, 15 karton. Ve bunu 2 garson program bitinceye kadar çatır çatır açarlar. Bitiremezler. 2 garsondan bahsediyorum ben.
Onun da şimdi patlatsa ne sahnede yer kalacak. Her taraf zaten patlayan dışarı taşıyor. Hani rakı diyor. Adam diyor ki tamam buraya diyor bir karton rakı. Rakı yakın ya. Yakıyorsun rakıyı. Yere dökülüyor, yerde yanıyor. Yani biraz da böyle tehlikeli işlerle uğraştık yani.
Sonra Yunanların tabak kırma adetleri var ya, bir ara onlara yöneldik.
There is a lot in there that I really hope that as many people as possible go and see your film, because I think we have a lot to learn in Germany about the history that we don't know anything about. But I wanted to ask the structure of the film that you have, because there's really like 3 eras in there. Was that something that was clear to you from the beginning, or was that something that just happened once you started working with the archive and researching, or was that something where it was very clear that this is how it's going to be?
I think it's a mixture of both somehow. We were looking for a name for the film, and we just had very, very stupid and very, very boring names for it. We came just up with really no idea at all. And then we knew the song and also the poem by Aras Ören, which was called Love, Deutschmarks and Death. It's a Turkish poem that was also in 1982 then also sung by Ideal, the German band. And they did it phonetically in Turkish. They sang it in Turkish. And we knew about the song. We always wanted to work with the song. And then we read the poem, and I met Aras Ören himself and talked a lot about this poem. What's the meaning of it? Why did he write it? And it's saying, the love is the love to the Deutschmark, so the love to earn money, brought people here. And then they worked hard all their lifetime. And then when they then thought they just had made it, death crossed their way, because they were old and they just had wasted their lives for earning a buck. And so this was then the starting point when we were creating the movie. We just wanted to tell the 3 different let's say maybe the 3 different generations also. The first generation that was here, and the love stays there for the longing, for missing the families. They are here totally alone by themselves. It's a big adventure, and or Cem Kaya, the big rock musician who then is here in a political exile. He is also longing for his country. He can't go back. So love is that kind of love, And then the Deutschmark stands in the film for earning the money, which is then the fourth strike, how they earn the money, it's like they have to really work hard for it. They get the worst jobs, they get the little pay and all these things. This is the part where they are also demonstrating the big fourth strike in 1973, or the Pierburg strike also in 1973, where they say, eine Mark mehr, 1 mark more. This is the mark. Mm-hmm. This is one side of the mark. And the other side of the mark is like spending the money. Just give it away, was kostet die Welt? Yeah. And these 2 aspects were very interesting for the mark part. And the death part is very obvious after, Germany's united and the xenophobia rised, and something happened in Germany gesellschaftlich. I didn't.
So as a society.
Yeah, as a society. And so this is our interpretation of the poem. You know, it's that kind of death that we wanted to then also document. But then we stop there also, and we talk a little about how Turkish hip hop, was invented in Germany. It was really invented here. This is also interesting because we were talking about.
It's like this invention of the döner and the Turkish hip hop and everything.
Exactly. But it was invented here and exported to Turkey, for instance. This is also these interactions are really important to me. And then we put an end to this by saying, there was also pop culture, not only hip hop, with a hybrid musician like Muhabbet, who invented this musical style called Arabesk, not R&B, but Arabesk. And then we bring it into the today. But so this is, I like the structure. I like how these three parts tell about three different generations, basically.
Yeah. We could talk on forever, but we don't have quite that much time. And what we really want is that the people who watch this video have already been to cinema or will go to cinema to actually see your film. So I have to say at this point, thank you very much for sharing something about your film. And I hope that I will see you and our audience in a cinema in Berlin, preferably, of course, at your screening or for some other screening. So thank you very much.
Thank you
and,
too.
And looking forward to see that film in a packed cinema with getting the mood of the crowd.
Looking forward to it too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.